Alright guys, in the previous video we had seen the outline of the game and the flow of the game, how the flow would go. This is how the game is played. All this we had seen. Let's give a very quick summary. We had collected a list of movies from IMDb and we had inputted the two players' name for personalization purpose. We had started with 0 points each. We had a variable to keep track of whose turn it is, and we had a variable to keep track of whether they are willing to continue the game or not. And in the person's turn, you have to display that it is his turn. Pick a random movie from this list. Create a question that is encode all characters except space by star. Print the question. Then as long as he says the answer, you repeat this process. You ask him to guess a letter whether it is present in the movie name. If it is present, you need to unlock it, else you say that the letter is not found. For unlocking, what is that we are doing is, in that movie name, if that particular letter is present, that particular star is replaced by the actual letter and other letters just remain star. This is how it happens. It happens repeatedly as well sometimes, because with one character, sometimes the person may able to guess the movie name. In that case, if he wants to guess the movie name, you get his answer, check if it is the correct movie name. If it is correct, display the message it's correct. You increase his score by 1 point and say that this is your score. And once he has said that it is correct, this particular thing comes to an end. The thing of guessing a letter, unlocking the letter, this thing comes to an end. In case if it is wrong, you have to ask him to try it again. And in case if he wants to unlock another character and he doesn't want to have a guess, you need to repeat the same process again. In this particular the subsequent round of unlocking, what you have to do is the letters that were already unlocked must remain unlocked only. That shouldn't be encoded by stars again. So the things that are not yet known to the person is what is encoded as stars. So this is how the game goes. And after he has given the answer, ask him if he wants to continue the game or quit. Based on that, if you act accordingly. If he wants to quit, say that this is the scores and this is the status till now, and give him a good greeting message and say that you want to quit the game. So just say willing is false, that is when the game comes to an end. In case the person wants to continue, what should be done is you should increment the value of turn. As you could see here, you could increment the value of turn so that the next player gets the chance to play. The thing continues this way. You can play the game on and on as long as not even one of them wants to quit the game. You can play the game on and on. So here there are some things that were undefined. If you could see this one, create question, is present, and unlock. These three functionalities are not yet defined, so let us define them one by one. Create question. This is a functionality that is been not defined. So let me define it. So let me say here. Let me say I have to define this particular process of creating a question. So let me say diff. This is the way you create a new function. It is creating a question is a function you want to be created. So we will create this question based on a given movie. A movie will be given here. So based on a movie, you need to create a question. Alright. So how do we do this? First, let me capture the length of the movie. Let me say n. Let the movie contain n characters. This includes spaces as well. Please note that this length includes spaces as well. So for example, if you would take this thing, if you would take Golmaal, the movie, there is 3 characters and a space and 4 characters, so it will be counted as 8 characters. See this, Golmaal has 3 characters, space and 4 characters, so it will be counted as 8 characters. So this is how the length of the movie will be counted. So I need to calculate the length. For this we have a predefined function length of the movie that has been passed to you. That is, for which movie you want to create a question, get its length. And for for encoding, we need to process the individual characters. If it is a space, you should keep it as a space only. Otherwise, you should make it a star. So we have to process as individual characters. So to get individual characters, what you do is, maybe you can say, maybe I will say letters. Let me say the letters is the list I am creating out of this movie name. List of movie. Movie is a string that is this as a single word will be passed. So that would be decomposed into individual letters by this functionality list. So that letters would be a list you will have. And now also you create a new temporary list. Maybe I will call it as temp. That will be used later. We will come to know what is the purpose why we are creating this new list. Because we need to output the encoded format. So the encoded format based on individual character, I will have it as a list and then I will join it to a single string. That is how I am going to do it. So let me do that. So we have to iterate over, that is we have to move over every character, every letter of the movie name. So that is present, every letter is present in this list letters. So I have to move over this. For I, let me have a variable that moves over I in the range of how many letters are there, that is captured by this value n, which shows the length, which calculates the length, range of n. Okay, right. If what we should check, if that is a space, I should just keep it as a space, otherwise I should make it a star. So let me say that is found in letters. If letters at that position I is equal to a space, then to this temporary array, the output array, I have to append, that is I have to add at the end of the current list, I have to add a space. Else, if it is not a space, I have to add the same character. I have to add the character star. So every letter is encoded by star except the space. That is taken care of here. If it is a space, you append a space. Else, you append a star. That's what you had done. So give now your temporary array contains the encoded form of your the temporary list contains the encoded form of your movie, which is nothing but your question. You call that as your question, so you need to return it. But your question is a single word, not a list. So you need to make it a single word. For that, we have a built-in functionality called join. So let's make use of it and we will join it. So let me call it as, maybe let me say it is a question. It's nothing but, irrespective of any character, just keep joining every letter. You convert the letter into a string format. Because string format, it is easier for you to join, so we are converting into string format for every letter X in the temp array. So how this works, let me once again say this. Temp is the array which has the temp is the list which has the stars and spaces with respect to the chosen movie name. So say for example, if our movie name is Golmaal, then with respect to G, a star is appended. Then with respect to O, star is appended. And with respect to L, star is appended. Here is a space, so space is appended. Then star, 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 star. This is how you have encoded, and you have it as an individual character. For each of that individual character, you convert into a string and keep joining into one composite string, that is as one question. So this I don't want it as a list of 8 characters, but I want it as one string of 8 characters. That is one word of 8 characters, something like that. I want it. So that is what I'm doing by this join function. So I have created this question. So now let me return the question. That's it. Create question now works. If you would see here, when you would say create question, what you do is you calculate the length of the movie, you convert it into individual characters, the list of individual characters, because based on the characters you have to append. That is, if it is a space, you just keep it as a space. That's what is taken care here. If it is a space, then keep it as a space itself. Else you have to put a star, and then now from the list you merge back and get back the original string. Get back as a string. That is a question. So you get back the question and you return that question. That is, instead of having a list of some characters, you merge those single individual characters and make it a single string and return that single string. That is what we are doing here with the help of this join functionality. All these are predefined functionalities. Alright, so create question part is over. So sorry, this is picked movie. I'm sorry for this. Picked movie has to be part. It's not just picked. It's picked movie. Then given that I have copied pasted even here. I'm sorry. This is picked movie, not picked. Alright. Okay. So now the warnings occur at is present. Undefined name is present and undefined name unlocked. So we will define them slowly. So let us define that. Define. So let me space that a single functionality is not defined. Is present. Is present. So what are the characters? What are the things I have passed? One letter and a movie. So I have to see if this particular letter is present in the movie name. So this is what I have to check in this functionality. So let me say I will have a counter. So for this, what do I do is, my logic is I will count the number of occurrences of the letter in this movie. There is a functionality, predefined functionality for strings to count the number of occurrences of a character. Say for example, my name Vidya. If I want to count the number of occurrences of letter A in Vidya, if I have a functionality, if I pass Vidya and A to it, I would get back 1 as the answer, because the letter A occurs once in the string Vidya. In case if I would give the input as T, letter T is not present in Vidya, so it would output 0. It would return back you the answer as 0, because this occurrence of T, that is the letter T, occurs 0 times in the word Vidya, whereas the letter A occurs 1 time in the word Vidya. If it occurs multiple times, maybe if you could take some, maybe you can take it in the same movie itself. Say Dangal, letter A occurs 2 times, so it will return 2. So if the letter is present, it will return a non-zero value, that is some positive value. If it is not present, that function will return a 0 value. If the value is 0, then the letter is not present. That is the logic we are going to use here. We are making use of a predefined functionality of strings. Okay, so I need to get the count. So let me get the count. Let us say C for count equals to movie dot count. That's it. This is the functionality, count of letter. So this particular functionality will count how many times this letter occurs in that movie name. So it will count if this value of C is equal to 0. That means the letter is not present. So is present is what you are asking. If that is present. So given that it is 0, it means it is not present. So you are supposed to return false. Return false. sorry, false, else what should be the case? You should return true. So I guess this is quite intuitive. Only thing that we are using is, this is a predefined functionality, count, that counts the number of occurrences of the particular letter in the movie. So if the movie doesn't contain that letter, then it will return 0, which will say that false, for which we are returning false, that is, this letter is not present in that movie name. Or else we will say it is present. So is present functionality has been defined. So if you could see, the warnings are disappeared. The warnings have disappeared. So here only warning that is still there is unlock. So we need to define this. Let us do it. Or maybe you can have pause here for some time. Just see to the flow once again, and now we have defined these two new functionalities. You may even see to the flow and pause in that particular point where this functionality is being called. You trace what is happening, how things are done, just trace it for a clear understanding. So maybe I would recommend you guys pause here, understand the flow completely, and then proceed. Now comes the unlocking part. We will do it. So before going to the unlocking part, please do make sure that you have understood the flow till here. Alright, I hope you guys have paused and understood the flow till here. Let us get with unlocking part. Define, unlock. For unlocking, what are all the things I am having? The modified question, let me call it question itself. Here it doesn't matter. And then you have a movie name, that is a picked movie name you have passed, then the particular letter. Alright, oh, here it is letter then. I'm sorry for this. This is letter because we are not using the term character. Character is the technical term that generally is being used in computer science for letters. Letter is a intuitive term for anyone who knows English. So it's better if we use letter itself. So here also it's letter. Sorry for this confusion. So good. So we have the question, that is the status till now, that is how many letters have been unlocked or nothing has been unlocked. If nothing has been unlocked, all letters will be encoded as stars and spaces will remain as spaces. If something has been opened, then that particular letter will be visible, others will be encoded as star, and the spaces will remain as spaces. This movie will contain the actual movie name, and the letter is the letter which the person wants to unlock. That is, this will, in this case, you note that it will never happen that that letter is not present, because here itself we are making a check. If that letter is present, only then we are getting into the unlocking part. If it is not present, we just say that it's not present. So here, that particular thing you need not worry about. If the letter, what if the letter is not present? What will I unlock? So you need not worry about it. The letter will be definitely present. Okay. So I need to process character wise. So similar to how we did the create question part, we will break the string into list of characters. So that is what we will be doing now. We are going to refer to this movie. So let me call it as reference list of movie. Okay. Then I want this question list as well. So let me call it as question list for or maybe QL for short, anything. It's not a problem. We can even have it as question list. The question list is nothing but list of the question. Question is nothing but the status till now. It is how many characters are unraveled and has been known to the player, and how much has been not unraveled. So this is the question basically here. And same like that, for output sake we will have a temporary list. If you could understand the create question part well, this would be easier for you. So that's why I had recommended that you guys please do pause and take a look at it. In case you feel that you again need to take a look at it, it's never a problem. You can pause here, take a look at it. You understand that really well, then now proceed here. Alright, so I believe you guys are now very clear with all the parts. So let's proceed. Similarly, I would find the number of characters in the movie. So that is determined using the predefined functionality, like number of characters in the movie. And so let me iterate in a similar way. For I in range of n. So for each of that, what should I do? If that particular character in this reference list is the actual letter, or if it is a space, you have to append the space only, else you have to append the stars or the characters that is already there as per the scenario. So let us do it. Let us first have it. If the letter in the movie, actual movie name, if the letter is equal to a space, or if that letter is equal to the letter that you had asked, what should you do? You should append the actual letter to the output. You should add the actual letter to the output. Reference of I. Why do we do that? If it is a space, or if it is the desired letter in that particular position. See, for example, maybe Anand is the movie that is being picked, and A is the letter they are seeking for. At the first position, the letter is A, which is the desired letter. So in that case, I should reference that list. I should move to that list and take that particular character and append it to my output. So my output should also show A. A is the letter the player is seeking to unlock, and A is present in that position. So A has to be appended in the output. Else, if it is none of them, else what should I do? I should check whether this particular question list has star in it in this position, or it is not star. That means, say for example, the same movie Anand. In the first iteration, probably the person has unlocked A and he wants to unlock D now. Let us just assume he wants to unlock D. So what is the thing that it is? So our letter now we want to unlock is D, and the question is A star, and movie is Anand. This is what is passed to us. So the reference list will contain A, N, D in single characters, as list of single characters. The question list will contain A star as a list of characters, and this is our output list, and we have taken the length, and it is this reference list at this position is not a space. Also, it is not equal to our letter D. So it will come to the else part. So you have to check. So he wants to unravel D. It shouldn't be the case that you should give him star 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 D. You should give him A star D. That should be the output, right? So you have to check whether the question list has star or some other character. That is, that character might have been unraveled during the previous runs. So you have to check it. So let me check it. If the question list at that particular position contains star, if that is containing star, then you append star. Then you append a star. Else, what you do? Sorry, it's a spelling mistake. Append. Okay, and here it is. Else, you append the actual character. Sorry, it's again a spelling mistake. Sorry. Append the actual character. Where is the actual character present? It is present actually in both the places, in this reference list as well as the question list, because during the previous run of unraveling also you would have referred to the reference list and unravel. So you can use any of the two, question list of I or reference list of I. That is the ith position of question list or the reference list. You can use any of the two. Let me use reference list of I. So I have appended it. Okay. So in a similar fashion, so now given that I have iterated in this, would be done for all the characters, all the letters of the movie. Given that we have completed, if we have completed, now we would have got the output list as a list of characters. We want it as a single string. So similar to our previous operation, we would do a join functionality. So let me say this is my, let me say this, I'll copy. This is what I'm basically precisely doing. That's why I'm just copying and pasting it. So question is already given. So let us say this as question new. Just for clarity's sake, I'm saying this is question new. New question we got, and now return the new question. Whatever we have done is almost very much similar to what is done in the create question part. So if you could understand that there, you can definitely understand it. What you need to take care is, if it is a space or if it is the required character, then you append the required character. Else, you see if it is a star, that is it has been not unraveled in the previous run, then you append a star. Else you append the actual character. For here, you could use reference of I or question list of I as well. Anything can be used, because during the previous runs of unraveling as well, you would have referred to the reference list and you would have followed the same procedure. So it doesn't matter, both will be actually the same value. So you could use any value. And then now we are joining the output list into a single string and we are returning that string. This is how unlocking works. Alright, now maybe you can pause and have a look at the entire code, how things go on, how everything works. You just have a look at it. Let's run this in the next video.